It's another edition of Our Town coming to you on 94.9 and 99.1 The River and through other digital means. More on that later. My name is Darren Swenson. I'm the host of this program, the sponsor of this program, as they have been for years. We thank them for their support year in and year out. It is Decorah Bank and Trust. Later on in the program, we'll be talking to Decorah High School Activities Director Adam Riley. Last week, Governor Reynolds signed a bill that creates a committee to deal with the issue of conference realignment in the state of Iowa. And Adam will talk about the next steps in that process. Next week, county fairs get underway in the state of Iowa. We'll talk to Tom Barnes with the mighty Howard County Fair. Coming up this Sunday, WinnMed's Hospice. They will have their annual memorial ride. We'll hear all about it from Nancy Haberichter with WinnMed Hospice. But our first guest this morning, we'll talk about all the fun that will be happening in Lawler this weekend. It's Lawler Irish Fest. Ben Larson will join us to tell us all about it. That's coming up right now. It's Our Town. It's brought to you by Decorah Bank and Trust, and you're listening to it on 94.9 and 99.1 The River. Coming up this weekend, one of the fun events every summer in Northeast Iowa. It's the Lawler Irish Fest taking place on Friday and Saturday. And with us to discuss the event is Ben Larson. And Ben, how many years has this festival been going?
This will be our 11th annual festival. We had a few years in there we had to cancel because of COVID, but this will be our 11th year of doing this. So,
And let's run down some of the entertainment. The fun begins on Friday. What's all going to be a part of the festivities on Friday?
yeah, so Friday, our tent opens up at 5 p.m. We have our opening ceremony where we'll announce our grand marshals at 6:30, and then we'll have musical entertainment from Madison Colbert at 7, followed by our Friday night headliner, which is the female-fronted Rebel Queens. It's a classic rock cover band we're extremely excited to have on playing for us here. Also on Friday, we do have a four-person best shot golf tournament as well as a kids area on where we will have an outdoor movie at dusk.
And then coming up on Saturday, looking at the entertainment lineup, looks like a little bit of something for everyone on Saturday.
Correct. Yes. Yep. Saturday we the tent opens at noon and we kick off the day with our grand parade at 1. Immediately following the parade, we'll kick in with the Irish right away. We'll have Bagpiper Paul of the Lacrosse District and pipes and drums, providing some bagpiping, and then we'll have some Irish bands with Amadons from Lacrosse, as well as Kellen O'Cullum from Cedar Rapids and Sorcha, which is one of the biggest up and coming Iowa Irish bands. So that all just leads up to our headliner Saturday, which is bringing a little Nashville to Northeast Iowa with Corey Farley.
And then other activities going on Saturday. You mentioned the Grand Parade, but the kids area continues. Another outdoor movie as well as a car show. Tell us, but give us a little bit more details than just the headlines that I just gave.
Yep, nope. So we've got the car show going on immediately following the parade. On kids' activities are going to ramp up even more on Saturday. We'll have inflatables as well as mega foam and bubble stations provided by Absolute Science. We'll have a Coins in the Sand sponsored by Luena Savings Bank. I believe the Lawler Fire Department will be doing a water ball game. And then we have a lot of great food and drink people there too as well. We'll be selling ribeye and pulled pork sandwiches, hot dogs, brats, hamburgers. We'll have the Taco Shack. The Lemon Peddler will be there selling fresh squeezed lemonade, as well as the Moo Mobile selling awesome milkshakes. So, and then another thing too going on, we will have the Lawler Historical Society. Will have a display in the Starlight Ballroom just right down the street from where all the activities are happening. So.
And a main stage providing a lot of entertainment. There is an admission charge, but for all the entertainment you get at the main stage this weekend, it's as quality of a price for as quality of a show as you can possibly have, in my mind.
Oh, for sure. And we have new this year is if you show up before 5 o'clock, we are it's free admission. You get a wristband and everything. You can stay all night. But at 5 o'clock, we'll start charging the admission. But if you arrive before 5, it's free.
And that admission is $5. And imagine in a festival like this, like any small town festival, doesn't happen without a lot of volunteers and a lot of community support. How important are those volunteers and the businesses that step up and help you out for a festival like this?
Oh, it's they help out immensely. It's great. We have a great number of people that are strong volunteers. Always looking for more. So if you are interested in volunteering, we do have some slots open up still. You can just go to our website, www.lawleririshfest.com, and find their option or availability there. But yeah, the community support with the donations has been awesome. This year has been no different than all of our other years, and it's been great. That's without them, we wouldn't be able to put this on and help out the community of Lawler.
And anything we're missing, anything else you want to pass on, as long as you got the forum this morning.
No, just if you're looking for a good time, come on out to Lawler this weekend.
All right, Ben, we appreciate you taking a few minutes to tell us about Lawler Irish Fest. I look forward to helping you out with the parade come Saturday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Should be a fun weekend and always is in Lawler any day of the year, but Lawler Irish Fest is one of the top events to come to Lawler each and every year. Thanks for the time this morning, and let's have fun this weekend.
Thank you. Yep, we'll see you then.
Ben Larson joining us. He is with Lawler Irish Fest Friday and Saturday in Lawler. Coming up this weekend, WinnMed Hospice will have their annual memorial ride. It is set for Sunday, and Nancy Haberichter is with us to tell us about the event and hospice itself. And Nancy, before we get into the event coming up this weekend, tell us about WinnMed Hospice and the services that WinnMed Hospice provides.
Okay, good morning, Darren. Good to be with you this morning. Yeah, so our hospice is part of WinnMed Hospital, and we provide service in about the 6 counties that kind of border Winnebago County, parts of those counties. So we provide hospice care to folks of all ages, and we have nurses who live in all of those areas. So kind of like to say that we live and work and with the people that we know. So yeah, it's a good program. Hospice has been part of the hospital since the 1990s. And so a long established program here at WinnMed. And we are able to take care of people from birth to end of life. So it's something that we're pretty proud of here.
And this weekend, the Memorial Ride will support WinnMed Hospice. Give us the details about the event.
So the ride, it will be on Sunday. It's traditionally always been on Sunday. This ride has been happening over 20 years. For the first 9 years, it was provided by the Clemich family, who did the ride in honor of their sister and daughter who died on hospice. And then the proceeds went to hospice. Started out as kind of a small family ride and got to be really, really big. And so then it was kind of transferred. Daryl Hinton always helps us with this ride. And so he's helped us for the last 13 years put on the ride. It will start here at WinnMed at the hospital with a breakfast. The breakfast is free will donation, and anybody can come to breakfast. Love to see people come. Sometimes we have families of hospice patients that come and get a chance to see the nurses again because they all work at that breakfast. So the breakfast is 9 to 10:30. Free will donation. Anybody can come to the breakfast. We line up to leave with motorcycles and cars or whichever people would like to ride with. This is a lead ride, so Daryl will lead us through Northeast Iowa, and we will leave here at 11 o'clock. Then we head south through Ocean on down to Wadena. Our first stop is Barney's in Wadena, and then we will go through the countryside, lots of turns. Hopefully a great day for a ride, because then we end up in Osterdock, and then we come back to the Claremont Park, and then we'll be back to Pivo probably about 4:30. And at Pivo we have a program kind of an appreciation for all the donors to this event and some of our hospice patients and their families. And we have some snacks and giveaways. We have some giveaways during the ride. It's always kind of a fun ride to go on. And we'll have some giveaways at the end as well.
And this year's event, what specifically does it support?
So last year we talked about wanting to start a veterans program in our hospice. So what that looks like is we would hire a veteran who would recruit some volunteer veterans to go see our hospice patients. And so we did start that program, and now it's fully implemented. And so the proceeds this year will go to support that program so that that is firmly in place for years to come. So that's what the proceeds will go for this year.
And you mentioned that's a relatively new program with hospice. How has that been received here in the early going of that program?
Well, we're just kind of getting started on what that looks like. So I think it's going to really be something that folks appreciate and something we wanted to do for a very long time. So so far we're just getting things set up, and so not quite to the point where people are recognizing that yet as a service to them, but very, very close.
All right, and that'll be a great thing that to be offered when it gets off the ground. How do people sign up for the ride?
There's registration on Sunday morning. Registration starts at 9 o'clock, and so we'll sign up for the ride then. Some people register and don't necessarily ride. They just want to support hospice in that way, and that's actually welcome too. So great to see everybody. This ride really is truly a memorial ride. I mean, we raised some money with it, but actually the most important thing is that we remember the folks that we have lost, and we do that as a group.
And how important is it to for folks to do it as a group, as you just mentioned, knowing the fact that loss of loved ones and grief can be a very lonely place in a lot of people's lives. How important is it for folks that are going through that to realize there are other people in the same boat as you?
Yeah, in this ride, there's a lot of support for one another. But we also do provide grief support for the community, not just folks that have lost someone in hospice, but folks that have lost someone in general. So we do that once a month here at the hospital. It's on the second Tuesday of the month at 5 o'clock here at the hospital. So it is, grief is something that needs to be supported by people. People do feel lonely in grief, and so we're happy to provide grief support. And there is a lot of support on this ride too. There's some folks that come year after year, just to get together with the people that come year after year. So it's kind of a neat ride in that way.
Anything we're missing, Nancy? Anything else you want to pass along as long as you got the forum this morning?
Yeah, I don't think so. Just hoping. We know the weather's going to be pretty warm that day, but no rain. Traditionally, we have rain. So this year, maybe not rain, maybe a little warm. We have some refreshments for people along the way. So hopefully we can keep everybody cool and safe.
And all right, why don't you run down the overall details about the ride coming up on Sunday? Just a general reminder for folks that want to participate and contribute to a good cause.
Yeah, so the ride starts, registration starts at 9 o'clock here at WinnMed in the courtyard. And we'll register folks and we'll have breakfast. And then we will take off from the hospital at 11 o'clock. We'll roam around Northeast Iowa, beautiful parts of Northeast Iowa. Daryl's got a really good route this year for us. And we will meet back at Pivo at 4:30 p.m.
All right, Nancy, we appreciate you taking the time to tell us about the ride coming up this Sunday. We appreciate you and everyone with WinnMed Hospice for what you do for our community. Thanks for the time this morning.
Thank you so much. And shout out to all the businesses and community members that have donated to the ride so far. We appreciate that every year. We appreciate you very much. And that's part of being Northeast Iowa small town community hospice. Thank you so much.
Well said. Nancy Haberichter joining us from WinnMed, the Hospice Memorial Ride coming up this Sunday. Well, fair season will start next week, and we usually start our fair conversations with Tom Barnes from the mighty Howard County Fair in Cresco. And Tom joins us again. And I know, Tom, you want to focus on the fair, but how many years is this for you with the mighty Howard County Fair?
I started officially as secretary in 1983. So that's been probably 10 years or so, maybe.
In my Norwegian math, that works. So,
been quite a while.
so
It's been fun.
obvious. What keeps you going?
That's a good point. I guess, people look at the thrill or the adrenaline you get, and then really what keeps you going is when you're working with the kids and their projects, especially in the, livestock area that we do. It's just fun to see them grow through the years that they're involved with the fair and progress in life. And then it's what we're seeing now is being in it so long as those kids are married and they have kids and their kids are back to the fair. And now we got their kids coming back to the fair. So, been working with some of them 3 generations here at the fair, being a part of it somehow, mostly exhibitors, but some volunteers and things like that. So it's kind of like a big happy family, happy most of the time, but big family.
And how much for you and the board itself, how much work goes into putting on these 5 days every year?
Oh, it's actually a lot more than as anybody listening as well with the county fair, they understand, but it's more than, I remember when I first got on the board, we'd mow the parking lot 2 weeks before the fair, so the grass was cut down or the hay was cut down, and we'd mow it 2 the other time so it wasn't so much stubble. So when you walked across, it wasn't walking across the hayfield like. You could buy 2 gallons of paint and 5 pounds of nails and you fix things up and you have a fair and then you go home. Well, you can't survive that way anymore. So we do, we focus on year-round entertainment, events, etc. at the fairgrounds, which keeps you really busy. Really, the focus of any county fair starts almost immediately after you're done, because any more of these especially the concerts with the entertainers, if you don't jump on them in August or September to get in on the ground floor, you're going to be lost out. So it's a very difficult process with concerts, and most years it's really frustrating, for lack of a better word, because of the larger venues that are paying absorbent money for this new talent coming out. And it kind of, a lot of it, puts county fairs out of the picture. So, but we've always been able to bring forth good entertainment here in Howard County, and something that our fair can afford, sometimes almost not afford, but we do it anyway. And it's depend on the concessions to help us pay the bill. It's a 9-month, 10-month deal every year. When we take the month of July off, the board does, and after we get stuff cleaned up and start getting our motors rejuvenated, when we hit the August meeting, we're starting already.
And I know part of your goals each and every year is the affordable fun and the entertainment for all. How do you make sure those 2 things are at the top of everybody's list when you're putting together a fair each and every year?
Well, you look at your demographics and you go back on the history of what's proven to be successful or pretty successful with your county fair, and what we have here in Howard County that people like might not be quite as important to, say, the folks in Winneshiek or Mitchell or Clayton, and vice versa. So you got to kind of go to what your fair goers are used to, or kind of used to, if you see what I'm saying, or more apt to be part of. We can't. We have to be very careful of balancing that budget, especially when we're still doing the family fair fund card, of providing too high entertainment and not coming out at the very end. We always say, it's best if we can come out to just a little bit in black when we get done with the fair and make sure that the bills are paid. but our off-season expenses are really high. It's everybody's talking about insurance, and I can give you our example, and everybody's talking about utilities, and ours are crazy at the fairgrounds, and that's why we need that interterm events at the fairgrounds to help us pay the bills all year.
And let's run down some of the entertainment for next week. Let's go with the grandstand entertainment. Why don't you just run down the Wednesday through Sunday grandstand entertainment?
Okay, Darren. We're starting out, of course, a couple of years ago, we started out with 2 nights of racing, Wednesday, Thursday, and kind of tried to split the classes up that's popular around our area of the state. As you know, we've got some really very, very good race car guys in this area. So Wednesday night, we're running USRA stocks, V mods, tuners, and Eagle mods, and then we're bringing in the Renegade High Limit Sprint Car Series. They have 2 classes of cars. They're bringing a minimum of 15 cars per class. The one's a non-winged open motor type car, and the other one is a winged sprint car. So they'll be here Wednesday night, and then they're staying over till Thursday night because they have a big race up in Cedar Lake on the weekend of our fair. So they felt a 2 night jump in Cresco would be kind of nice. And Friday they'll go up to Cedar Lake. So then on Thursday night, along with the 2 classes of sprint cars, they're bringing in the super late models back to the speedway, and then we're also going to be running our USRA hobby stocks on Thursday night at the fair. Friday night, we try to blend our music to tastes, and we usually like to do somewhere in the rock or pop era, and then we do a country. This year, our rock and pop is Friday night, opening up with the Dweebs. They'll open up for a great show called Pop Rocks. Pop Rocks travels around not only the United States, but Europe, Canada. Very dynamic, large group that sings everything from Katy Perry to Shania Twain to Ozzy Osbourne and AC/DC. I mean, it's a great mix, similar to Hairball, only a lot more variety of music. Similar type of things. They change their costuming and that. Many lead singers. It's a very dynamic, fun group, and that's Friday night. The Dweebs then will move into our beer garden when they're done opening for Pop Rock. So when Pop Rock is over, you can go down to the beer garden and have a couple more hours of fun with the Dweebs. Saturday night, we're bringing in country super group, the Frontman. Really excited about this group. It's the lead singers from, I got to remember, Darren, Russell's Heart, Little Texas. I always forget the last one.
Lone Star.
Thank you, Lone Star.
I'm cheating. I've got the flyer in front of me.
Thank you for doing that. And they formed they call them a super group where they play all the hits. Oh, there's over 30 #1 hits between the 3 groups all together, and these are the lead singers of those groups. And that's going to be really a great concert that night. Opening up for them will be a group called the Feudin' Hillbillies. Saw them perform once, a truly outstanding country rock group. That'll open up for them, and then Feudin' Hillbillies will move to our beer garden after they're done opening up and close out on Saturday night. Sunday night, we're going to run another type of race. We ran one in May called autocross. It's kind of like a figure 8, and it's kind of like a bump and run, only it's kind of a blending of everything where the cars run through a modified D oval on our racetrack. We have a couple jumps, and if anybody was at the race in May, these guys have no fear. I mean, when they say bump and run, it's more like bang and push, and it's very, very entertaining. So that ends up our grandstand shows. And of course, you can buy a family fun card right now and go to all those just by buying that family fun card.
And from what I understand, there's an online option for grandstand tickets once again this year.
Yes, you can buy the fun card online, or if you just want to go single night, you can just purchase a ticket, at the grandstand. Actually, if you just want to go, say, to the Thursday night stock car races or the autocross or whatever, we have single night admission too for people for that like that option. And that all those tickets are available online right now off our website, mhcfair.com.
And of course, the livestock judging, the 4-H and the FFA kids, they will have a busy week as always during the fair. And yes, the entertainment and the fun and the carnival those are all the fun parts of the fair. But the 4-H and the FFA kids, that's what it's all about, right?
That's the heart of the fair. You always say that, we're there because of the kids and to promote our community and, everything else that goes along with it is, I don't want to call it fluff. It helps pay the bills, but it's part of the entertainment package. We also have several big, free on grounds entertainment this year too, that people are going to enjoy that's free. That agri golf, which is really neat, like a mini golf setup. It's kind of like it teaches you a little bit about agriculture when you're playing agri golf. Um, we're bringing back, we haven't had these folks here for many years, the Kenya Safari Acrobats. We've had them back, I think, 20 years ago, and we were able to bring them back this year. Great show of acrobats. And then chainsaw carving, Nick's Kid Show's coming back this year to the forum for the families. Got a lot of other free things going on and fairgoer contests. A lot of little, there's a lot of little things going back and forth that we do a lot of. And um, free music on the Shiloh Plaza stage this year with polka. Braylon McCarville's going to be on the Plaza stage this year. We bring in other things as things come about, and some other things really neat coming in on the grounds for like a day, like the Iowa Corn Trailer is going to be there, and Water Rocks out of Iowa State University will be there for a day. So a lot of neat things to see and do.
And of course, Evans United shows, they're still going strong, aren't they?
Very strong. Yeah, great family carnival. Been with us since 1974. I know they play the Winnebago County Fair up in this end of the state too, and people in this end of the state know what the Evans family is and what they're all about. Great family, very good to work with, and they take care of their people.
And anything else you want to add, Tom, as long as you got the forum here?
Yeah, we got a lot of people hopefully listening, and as I say every year, the biggest thing that we can do right now is pray to the weather gods for a decent week of weather. We take what we get, but everything revolves around the weather and what it does. And if it's at the right time, like a rain, that's fine. But we work around it. We've always been very good and we're very adaptive to our weather conditions here. It's just we're looking forward to a good week. We've done some really neat infrastructure that people will notice if they haven't been over the fair the last year or two. We've got a great our two facility programs where kids actually raise animals, swine and dairy calves in our Ag Education Center. That's been a really fun thing this year. We've had this since 2016, and people see the efforts of those young kids taking care of those animals that we house in our Ag Education Center. And of course, Riceview Farms is a big part of that on the swine side, and they bring in some bred sows middle of the fair. They usually will farrow Fridays in that area. I know last year all of our sows averaged over, I think, 22 or 23 piglets per sow. So we had a lot of little pigs running around, and that was a big deal. That's a fun thing. We open up the swine facility during the fair. We sanitize it every morning and turn on our air purifiers to mitigate the odor. And it's a good thing. People can see what a swine facility is like and enjoy how they're handled and get some education on swine production these days. And then also have little kids like to have fun with the baby pigs. That's a big thing.
All right, Tom, we appreciate you taking some time to preview the fair as always. Best of luck next week. Hopefully it rains between 11 p.m. and 7 a.m., as my old man always used to say. But thanks for taking the time. Thanks for all you do for Howard County and mainly the young people of Howard County putting on this fair year in and year out. And here's to a great 2025 Mighty Howard County Fair.
Thanks, Darren. It would be a fair conversation without talking about your dad.
Yep, thank you very much. Tom Barnes, Mighty Howard County Fair, next week in Cresco. Having a conversation right now with Decorah High School Activities Director Adam Riley. Last week, Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds signed a bill that would set up a committee of superintendents and activities directors around the state of Iowa to deal with the issue of conference realignment. Obviously, we've dealt with it in Northeast Iowa over the last couple of years, and it's happening all over the state of Iowa at the present time. And Adam, I think when it comes to looking in the past, I don't think there's a lot of point to rehashing everything regarding this conversation because I think most people are aware of that. One thing I do want to ask you, when did the conversations begin about looking towards the future of what conference realignment would be?
Um, the formal conversations, there'd been some informal conversations about the current process that was in existence in the mediation, even prior to and maybe during one of the times that we sat in a mediation process, and obviously the most recent, the last one, where the end result on the appeal led to no change or result. Shortly after that, which that would have occurred in October, that's when, we sit down and in the mediation process leads a school, no matter who it is. In our case, we actually have we end up with no result. You're in a 12-month mediation process, and the end result is you don't have a conference. And when you're wanting to be in a conference, and then if you have to restart that mediation process all over again with fear of the same result and not having trust in that process, then it's probably like, well, what steps and actions can we take to actually lead to a result, no matter what school is in that situation? Because to say, hey, let's restart and start another 12-month process, how fair is that to an entire group of kids over a period of time? So I would say late October in the early part of November is when some research started to happen a little bit, and taking some time to work the phone and have conversations with colleagues in other states, and most specifically some assistant directors in other states, to just simply ask and engage in a conversation of how do you handle this situation, or how do you handle conference realignment, and when it can lead to these different pieces. And what we really kind of zeroed in on was the Wisconsin system. I've got a childhood friend who's an associate director in Wisconsin, and really sat down and worked the phone and had a conversation with him and how and why that they've gotten to their recent system that they use. And really, the more and more we looked at it with the dynamics that happen within the state of Wisconsin, where you have some districts that are reducing in size, and you have some metropolitan districts that are expanding. It's like, well, this model is very similar from a geographical standpoint, a geopolitical standpoint, to what we're experiencing as far as the dynamic in the state of Iowa. At that point in time, it was having some honest conversations with executive directors of the Athletic Association and Girls Union, to just sit down and have some dialogue, because we were in the middle of the process. We hadn't restarted a new process, and not intervening, sharing a little bit about our idea in relation to that, and then getting involved in having some conversations with our legislators as it relates to looking at the current process, what a new system could be, and what steps would happen and occur. And I can't say enough good positive things about our local legislators, with Senator Clemish and Representative Bergen. And obviously, we did some work with Waverly in that situation with Senator Salmon and Speaker Grassley, to be able to say, here's an option. We didn't want to come to the table in a situation where there wasn't a solution as far as what is next and what are the best options. And we were pretty animate about, as I stated earlier, the system doesn't work if the end result leads to somebody being without a conference. And when somebody says, hey, the school or Decorah had an option when it comes time for that. Yes, but we shouldn't have to reset that option after, and go through the whole process again after 12 months. That's not a system that works, because there's whole years of kids that are lost with some of the disadvantages of not being a part of something. So, it's been an interesting process to be able to get to that, and there's been lots of very unique steps along the way, and we're happy that we know that there's more work to be done, but there's going to be a system in place here that will lead to a result.
Why was the system that was ultimately decided on to create this committee of superintendents and activities director? Why was that the best one moving forward in your mind?
Yeah, the reason with Wisconsin that they like that involves superintendents and activities directors within that, in that Wisconsin system, those individuals, which with our new system, we'll have to, there's some administrative rules and process ahead, but it really involved people on the ground level within that. A lot of the current systems, when you look at district representative councils and board of controls, um, they involve superintendents and principals. They do not involve activities directors, and there's some understanding when it comes time for that. But the activities directors really understand some things on the ground level. And if you have 9 different people, you can actually get some different classes and sizes and classifications from different schools across the board, and it leads to a well-vetted process, at least in Wisconsin's experience within that. Um, where they know that there's some individuals who are sitting down and really looking and taking some time. The Wisconsin system is also very unique. It's only every 2 years that schools can go ahead and move conferences within their alignments. They've got affiliate memberships and conferences for certain sports and then other pieces, but they do that opposite of district football. Which it also leads to a lot of operational efficiency for them. So the same individual who's in charge for district football in the Wisconsin Athletic Association, when it's a non-district football alignment year, that next year they're working exclusively with conference affiliations and any conference movement that would happen. So the executive directors with all of these conference changes have some mediations and some other pieces. So they kind of feel like they're traveling all the time. And for lack of a better way, playing whack-a-mole to a certain situations that happen and occur, which leads to no operational efficiency on their part. So I know that's one piece that the executive directors are looking forward to as far as before something gets presented to them. It's been at least vetted through a group of people with no conflict of interest and some outside perspectives to be able to know and understand the lay of the land and be realistic about a certain amount of things. So we think I think that's an advantage. And then the other major piece that's with the bill is shall um, instead of may be placed in a conference, it's shall. So you get to that result, and that committee is going to look at some things. They're going to have a recommendation that's basically going to place somebody somewhere. So for a period of time, they're going to be in a conference, and then over the next 2 years, there's other things that can happen to be able to change that dynamic and hopefully find another better fit that works for everybody, or they may come to find that the fit does work. But it from an operational efficiency standpoint, it should work much, much better as even ADs are trying to be able to develop schedules and some other pieces. And, there's ADs in the state and superintendents who've been around in different areas of the state for a period of time, and they're great people. And really have a good lay of the land and have the best interest of all kids at heart when it comes time for that.
Of course, the bill passed the legislature. It's been signed by Governor Reynolds, but now there's some work to make what is in the bill a reality. What work now needs to be done? Where is that process at?
Yeah, we're all learning a lot when it comes time for this. Obviously, being a former social science major with some poli-sci, this has been a very interesting process where I've even learned a lot with some basic things. So obviously, the legislation is passed. It technically comes into law July 1, but anytime a piece of legislation is passed, there's administrative rules that have to be written. And that is the next step. The Iowa Department of Education will have a lead person assigned to be able to write and work with hopefully the Girls Union and Athletic Association and some other entities to be able to get these administrative rules in place so then schools know, okay, this is how the process is going to happen. Even how do we select the members of the committee? What are some different end results when it comes time? What's the timing of these pieces when it happens and occurs? We have some intent, but obviously the Department of Ed gets involved. So once the Department of Ed gets involved with the writing of those administrative rules, there's 3 further steps that end up happening because any administrative rules need to be signed off by the Administrative Rules Committee, which is a joint committee of the Senate and the House on that end of things. So they write the administrative rules at the Department of Ed. There's a notice of the administrative rules that's given to that Administrative Rules Committee for them to begin their process to be able to look. There's some editing that goes back and forth with that. Then there's some public hearings and then final approval for those administrative rules that happens. On a standard piece of legislation, I'm told that this is about a 4 to 6 month process. We'll see where those steps. We would love that process to be a little faster, and it can happen sometimes faster than that 4 to 6 months. But there's different pieces that will happen and occur here in the coming weeks as this begins to come into law and some different pieces to be able to get it into actual fully functioning system.
Let's say this gets done in 4 months. Is that enough time for you to set a schedule for the 27-28 school year?
I don't know
Or
yet.
it would be 26-27. I apologize.
Well, 26, 27. I'm not gonna lie, we'd love to be able to have a home and a schedule set for the 26, 27 school year as it relates to, especially as we're knee deep in scheduling for this year, and trying to be able to figure out a lot of different pieces of that puzzle to make sure our kids still have an opportunities to participate and do some things. That's ideal. When I hear in a conversation that I had yesterday that the 4 to 6 months, does that make me a little nervous? Yes. Ideally, I'd love to say, hey, by the time yet again we get ourselves um, into the later part of the fall, September or October, that we at least have an idea what we're looking at for a system in place and can be able to try to put some things out there for the following school year, knowing that, in our world, ideally you're writing schedules 2 and 4 years out within some conference schedules, and that's going to turn a lot of different pieces upside down for people as well. But this is we're at where we're at on that end of things, and we want to make sure our kids still have an opportunity.
And once these administrative rules get set, then what is the process for a school like Decorah, like Waverly, that wants to be in a league in 26-27? What do they do then?
Yeah, so once those administrative rules are set, there's timelines, and then basically the thought process is there is an application that is presented as far as for some form of conference membership or joining of conference. And that's when the process begins for those rules. There's nothing that says this specifically, who or where or some other pieces. The hope is that schools will work some of these things out prior to that application being submitted, but clearly there's been enough agreement in some settings, whereas some of those things would be fast tracked in a hurry because all the schools would sign off and it'd work great. And then in other settings, there hasn't been any consensus agreement. So obviously, a third party needs to come in and try to find a fit for everybody involved that's appropriate and find some give and take and some balance with that. So obviously, we would submit some form of an application depending on how the administrative rules lay that out. We'd want to respect that process and then let the timetables begin from there.
And would that application include joining a current conference, joining, maybe putting schools together to join a new conference? How would that application work?
I can't speak to that solely because clearly in my role, that's got to be another joint process that's got to involve our Board of Education.
Okay.
We've surveyed our community in relation to how and why when we got into this last mediation process as far as where we were at. And clearly in going through that process, there is some consensus on certain topics within that, while there might not be always consensus on everything. But we felt where we were landing there, and we would need to restart that process again, and make sure we involve the school board and our community a little bit in relation to what and how that would look like. So for me to answer that question fully, I can't, because it's not my sole decision when it comes time for that. Obviously, I have a voice and some different ideas when it comes time for it. But once we know what that looks like, we'll be certainly working with our community.
And this year, Decorah will operate as an independent. From your perspective in trying to get young people the opportunity to compete, how has that process gone?
Um, there's a number of things that we've been able to lay out with our schedules that we're happy with. There's a number of scenarios within our schedules that I'm not gonna lie, extremely frustrated with and find to be um, needing some help when it comes time for some schedule relief. And I think I've used in some other public settings the example of cross country, where, with the same week of our conference cross country meet, we've asked to be a non-scoring competitor with 5 out-of-state conferences for their conference meets, which occurred during that same week. And they've great conversations, but they just didn't want to open up a can of worms. And we've had some internal conversations within our own state with some of the same response. So those are some different pieces that are becoming really, really challenging for us. The travel is going to be a challenge, and we've got some home events, but we're not going to have as many as what we would like or in a normal year. And how's that going to impact the educational component for our kids as well? So we're getting there at the end of the day. I'm confident we'll have some schedules that will be good and will provide our kids the opportunities that they hope and they're seeking. It's and we're just thankful for the schools that want to continue to be able to have those relationships and be able to compete with us because we have a number of them that our relationships are great with and are really really want to make sure that we still create some good environments for their student athletes as well as ours when they compete.
In closing, what's your message to the Decorah community in regards to activities on where the district is sitting right now and where potentially the district could sit a year from now?
Oh, that's a big, deep question there. You just come up
Sorry.
with that one on your own quick or
No, obviously not.
no? Um, I hope the community has known and does know through the work that we've been doing. We've been try to be very diligent and what we're trying to do, we're trying to make sure we take the steps to respect others' opinions when it comes time for that, while also knowing that um, we're trying to create opportunities for our kids to still be able to participate while protecting our overall educational mission that high school athletics and interscholastic athletics are supposed to be all about and the activities that come with that. There's more work to be done. We appreciate their patience and support. We appreciate the questions. I mean, I get asked probably 4 times per day as far as what's up with the conference. And know that's okay. Know if we can't say much, it's because I really don't have anything new or anything to answer when it comes time for that. But know that as parents and as our community is there, that we're working on things to try to find the best long-term solution that we possibly can for our kids. And like I said, I'm a parent too, and I want to make sure all of those things are put in place for the kids as we look at the future and the experiences that they have as well.
All right, Adam, we appreciate the candor and the information and the knowledge you provided during this conversation. Hopefully, next time we have this conversation, we can talk about a new conference home for 26-27 for the Decorah Vikings. Appreciate the time as always.
Yep. Thanks for your support as well.
Adam Riley, Decorah High School Activities Director, on the next step moving forward now that a bill is a law. To our guest on the program this morning, we want to thank Ben Larson joining us to tell us all about Lawler Irish Fest Friday and Saturday in Lawler. I'll be over emceeing the parade over on Saturday. My buddy Dave Anderson will also be over there. Stop by, say hi if you see us there. Nancy Haberichter from WinnMed telling us about the Hospice Memorial Ride coming up on Sunday. Tom Barnes, Mighty Howard County Fair starts next Wednesday in Cresco. And we appreciate Adam Riley taking a few minutes to explain the situation regarding the conference situation now that a bill to establish a committee to deal with that issue has been signed by Governor Reynolds. Don't forget, we put these shows on YouTube each and every week. It's summer, it's busy, you got a lot of things going on. You're going here, you're going there, you're going everywhere. And you might not always have time to be near a smart speaker or a radio speaker at 9 o'clock on a Thursday morning, but we want to have these interesting conversations with interesting people brought to you on your schedule. Go to 619 Our Town program on YouTube. That's a great way to check it out. We've also put up all the links on our LA Communications Facebook pages because we want to stay in touch with you because without you, none of this makes sense. If you want the audio version only, go to any of our websites, 619 Our Town program. You can click on those. You can download it. You can listen to it anytime you want to. All sorts of ways you can get our content each and every week here from the Our Town program. I thank you to our guests. I thank you to our sponsor, Decorah Bank and Trust. And we thank you, that's right, you, for tuning in, for logging on, or for watching Our Town on 94.9 and 99.1 The River.